Well folks, today I have a home improvement project for you. This is our 30-some-year-old refrigerator, and we're getting rid of it. The one that we're replacing it with is bigger, so it's going to come all the way over to this wall, well, at least a lot closer. Now, down here, we have a heat vent that comes between the wall and the fridge, and you can see that the previous homeowners just stuffed tinfoil in there to keep the heat from coming up by this fridge. I'm going to cover it with a piece of sheet metal. Okay, now I got my fridge pulled out, but I went to my local home center and I picked up this number 26 gauge sheet that's 12 inches wide by 18 inches long. And I got lucky because this appears to be a 12-inch duct, which is 12 inches on the inside. So this sheet actually fits nice and snugly into this duct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bend this into a U shape. So I have a flange and then come across and then another flange. That way I can take screws and I can screw it to the wall here, and I can put some screws into the floor on this side, and that'll be good. So now I'm going to start laying this out with a Sharpie. I said I want my first flange to be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that at 1.5 inches. Then I want 2 3/8 for the bottom, so I'm going to make another mark 2 3/8 past that. And then I want another flange that's about 1/2 inch. And just to give myself a little margin, I'm going to go over 5/8, and that's where I'm actually going to cut it. So now first I'm going to use a snips, just a tin snips, to cut across this solid line. Okay, so now here's my piece all laid out. And if you haven't seen one of these before, these are like sheet metal benders. So basically, I can take this and I can slide it exactly to where I want to bend my piece of metal. I can line up the edge. And you're going to have to put both your wrists into it. There you have it. That's my first bend. Looks pretty good. I need to go and make my second bend. And if I was smart, I would have done this one first. I guess I got a little excited. But my tool cannot reach far enough in to get that to that bend line. So instead, I have to come up with a jig to do it. And it would have been much easier to bend this down. But I'm just going to take this 2x2 board and clamp it to my bench right at the edge. So I'm still going to use my tool to help give me some leverage, but I'm going to use a mallet and I'm going to kind of hammer it. And as you can see, I can't actually bend it any further because this is my spring back point. In order to get a 90-degree bend, I need to go farther. So if I really wanted to get fancy, I could put a bevel on my board to go farther. But I'm just going to try to do it by hand. See what I'm doing? Just gradually squeezing it down. And there. I've made my U-channel. So if you're like me, you probably appreciate kind of unusual tools. This here is a hole punch for metal. It works just like the ones that you use to punch holes in paper to put them in like a 3-ring binder, except it's got a lot more mechanical advantage. Look at how far I have to swing that arm to make that die go up and down. So that gives you a lot of mechanical advantage and a lot of power capability. So it's a lot easier than drilling on sheet metal because your drill doesn't wander. You just put it right when you got the hole where you want it. You squeeze and it pops a hole right in. And there is nothing wrong with drilling a hole in sheet metal. So if I kind of figure out where I want it, to start my hole, I'm going to push down to kind of give myself an indent so that it doesn't wander all over the place. And then so that's not too bad, but I think hole punching is a lot more fun. And it doesn't leave this burr on the backside. That's sharp. This hole's not. Now I'm going to try to put in the channel that I made. So it looks like it fits a little tight, which is okay if it goes. Well, I finally got it in there. Now I'm ready to screw it into place. First I'm going to drill these pilot holes. I'm going to use these holes I already punched. I got this automatic screwdriver at Lowe's. It was only like 30 bucks, so it was sort of an impulse buy. But it hinges to all different locations, and I mean, it swivels around. So I've been kind of anxious to try this out. We'll see how it does. You know, I gotta say I'm pretty impressed with this thing. It's no replacement for an impact, but it got into this tight space where I'd have to use like a right angle attachment or something. And it had reasonable power, yet reasonable speed. It's called Flip Out. They sell it at Lowe's. It was only 30 bucks. There we go, nice and clean. Wonder if I should do the rest of this area while I've got the vacuum out. Nah. Now you may be asking yourself, gee Dave, did you check with your HVAC guy before you're just going to cover up a heat vent? The answer is no, I did not. But I have another heat vent right over there in the kitchen, and I have another one right over there in the dining room, so I'm pretty sure I have the space covered. And what I can tell you is having a heat vent right next to your refrigerator seriously compromises the efficiency. Refrigerators work by pumping the heat from in the box to the outside, and they do that by getting warm so that the ambient air in your room cools them down. Now if you're blowing heat right next to something that's hot and trying to cool down, then you know that's going to cause inefficiency. Furthermore, this piece of tinfoil was stuffed in there for the last 20-some years to no ill effect. And I know that this is going to seal a little better than tinfoil, but I still don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Only time will tell. In fact, people of my profession have a phrase for uncertainty. It's called, "It'll work. Trust me, I'm an engineer."